In the name of Allah, the most compassionate, the most merciful, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon His last and beloved Messenger Muhammad, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. The title of this presentation is Understanding Mechanical Engineering from Water, from the guidance of the Quran. Now, I will show in this presentation how, from understanding the great sign that Allah God Almighty placed in water, we can learn mechanical engineering and we can understand this universe. Now, this great sign in water I explained in my website and in so many of my lectures, but I'll give here a very quick summary of this sign in water. Now, we can learn this sign by pondering upon verse number 30 of chapter 21 of the Quran, which reads, "Have not those who disbelieve known that the heavens and the earth were one weaved fabric, then Allah God tore them apart, and Allah God has made from water every living thing, will they not then believe?" So here Allah God Almighty is saying that Allah has made from water every living thing. Now, this means that, for example, when you say, "I made from clay a dish," what this means that when you made from clay a dish or a pot, that you change the shape of clay into the shape of a dish. But it's still clay. So when Allah says that He has made from water every living thing, this means that everything in this universe, angels, humans, rocks, bees, and everything in this universe is basically water in different shapes. So you as a human, you are water, but in different shape. Now, to illustrate this and to explain this further, let me give two very quick examples. Now, the first example you can see on the screen. On the left, we have a design of water atoms and molecules when water is in a solid state, when it's ice. So we see that the water atoms and molecules, Allah arranged them in a hexagonal design. Now, since Allah has made from water every living thing, this means that every creature, everything in this universe should have the structural design of water. So we see, for example, on the right, we have bees and the beehive. Allah created it with the same design of water. So basically bees, they are water in a different shape, different form. And this hexagonal design is found everywhere. You as a human, your muscles have a hexagonal design. Their basic units are arranged in hexagonal arrangement. Your bones, your skin, everything. Another example, the one you see on the screen, on the left we have the mechanism of energy propagation in water, such that Allah God Almighty created water such that if you drop a rock in a pond of water, energy propagates with concentric circles. Since Allah created everything from water, this means that all energy in creation should follow the same pattern. So we see, for example, in earthquakes, mechanical energy propagates with concentric circles, and light from the sun or any kind of source, it propagates with concentric circles as well. So I hope by these two examples you got the idea how Allah God Almighty created everything from water. And this is a very important sign, because it shows that all of this diversity in creatures, Allah created from a single source. So this means that there is only one creator, because Allah is giving us an example on how He can create all this diversity from a single source, from one source. Likewise, all this diversity in creation has a single creator, Allah God Almighty. So, now to see how we can learn mechanical engineering from this great sign in water. And the logic is as follows. Since Allah created everything from water, this means that if we understand water, the structure of water, the function of water, we can understand all of this universe. Because basically the universe is water in different shapes. So, to start with a problem in mechanical and electrical engineering on how to increase the efficiency of thermal exchangers. Now, let me give you the following example. Here we have a heat sink. The metallic part you see here is basically a heat sink. It's used to dissipate heat quickly from the CPU, the central processing unit of a computer, because this electronic chip, when it functions, it produces heat, and there is a need to remove this heat as fast as possible from this silicon chip. So they use these kind of heat sinks, these metallic objects, to increase the surface area and to dissipate heat very quickly. Now, we want to increase the efficiency of this process. We want to dissipate heat very fast, quickly. Now, how can we find a better design from this sign in water? So let's start. If we ponder upon water and looking at the surface of water, we see that it's wavy. It's not flat, it's wavy. And in mathematics, this shape of these waves, this is called a sine wave, sine function. So the first thing we notice that the surface of water is wavy. Now, the importance of this, one of the applications of this, if we look at cloud formation. Now, the way Allah God Almighty creates clouds is that the heat from the sun heats up the water, it evaporates, it goes into upper layers of the atmosphere, it cools down, it condenses, it becomes clouds. This is a very quick summary of how clouds are formed. Now, we are looking at a surface with an optimal efficiency for heat transfer. Now, since Allah created everything in an optimal way, so if we take the design concept from the surface of water, that it's wavy, and replicate this or imitate this in a gene design, we can get the best surface such that the surface would exchange thermal energy in a very kind of short time. Again, cloud formation, it needs the thermal exchange between the sun and the water. So Allah created the surface of the water in a wavy fashion. So this wavy kind of structure of the surface of the water, it enhances thermal exchange because it increases the surface area. So what we need to do, we need to take this idea and design the surfaces involved in heat transfer with the same wavy pattern. This is what we learn. One of the examples from one of the practical applications from the sign in water. Also, if we look at our skin, the human skin, if you look at it under the microscope, you see that it's wavy as well. And this is one of the signs of the mercy of Allah God Almighty on you, because this wavy structure of the skin, it enhances the dissipation of thermal energy. So when you generate heat in your body, it's removed very fast in a very short time. So here I just summarized what I said, that we learned that we need to design the outer surface of the heat exchanger to have the shape of water waves in order to have maximum surface area and thus rapid heat transfer. So I would like now to give a computer simulation to demonstrate this point. So in the computer, using finite element analysis, I compared between two surfaces involved in thermal energy exchange. The first surface you see on the screen, this one is a flat surface, and we have a heat source underneath this surface. So the computer calculated that the maximum heat flux generated from this surface is 37 watts per meter square for this particular surface under certain boundary conditions. So the second model I did, the same boundary conditions, the same conditions as the first surface, but I changed the geometry of the surface to be wavy, like that of water waves, like surface of water in the oceans and the sea. So under the same conditions as the previous surface, the computer calculated that the maximum heat flux generated from the surface is 47 watts per meter square. So just by changing geometry of the surface to be like water waves, we have an increase, a substantial increase in heat flux. This means that this surface will dissipate heat much more quickly than the first one. So we see, brothers and sisters, how from this sign in water, we understood how to make practical applications in, for example, mechanical engineering and electronic and electrical engineering. In what's the best geometry for the surface to dissipate heat much more quickly. So we see how Allah the Almighty wants the believer to be the teacher of others and not the one on the receiving end. But because Muslims, they went away from the Quran, they went away from understanding and practicing the Quran, they find themselves in the misery they find themselves into. So the way out is to go back to Quran, to understand it and implement it, not just merely reading it. And to know more details about this topic, please visit my website at www.quran-miracle.com, and you can email me at zquran@gmail.com, and may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all.